Political assassinations of the world's most prominent leaders are among the events that have devastating effects on an international level. History has witnessed numerous assassinations targeting heads of state and key political figures, leading to radical changes in both domestic and foreign policies of those countries, and sometimes causing profound impacts on global balances. To learn about the full events and details, stay with us until the end. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with all the latest content. Throughout history, the world has witnessed numerous political assassinations for various reasons. Some of these assassinations have sparked crises, while others have radically changed the course of history. In this context, we will highlight the most significant assassinations that targeted heads of state throughout history, whose echoes are still felt to this day. First, U.S. President Abraham Thomas Lincoln. Abraham Thomas Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in Kentucky, in the eastern United States. He grew up in a modest environment that revealed his early passion for justice and equality. Lincoln was not just a prominent political figure, but a symbol of change and reform during a time when America was experiencing deep political and social crises. Lincoln began his political career in 1832, when he ran for a seat in the Illinois General Assembly as a candidate for the right-wing Whig Party, which later evolved into the Republican Party. Although he failed in that election, his determination remained unwavering, and he ran again, eventually succeeding. This paved the way for him to run in the 1860 presidential election, which he won, becoming the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln is considered one of the most important U.S. presidents due to three major achievements that changed the course of American history. Leading the country during the American Civil War, where he sought to preserve the unity of the nation and prevent the southern states from seceding. Abolishing slavery in the country by issuing the Emancipation Proclamation, which paved the way for the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, permanently banning slavery. This was a bold step toward achieving equality and social justice, unifying the American banking system at a time when it was heavily influenced by the Jewish Rothschild family. Lincoln introduced significant reforms to centralize the banking system, contributing to greater financial and monetary stability in the country. On April 14, 1865, while attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth, a stage actor and Confederate sympathizer. Lincoln suffered severe injuries and died the next day, becoming the first U.S. president to be assassinated while in office. His assassination shocked and outraged the nation, sparking an extensive manhunt for Booth and his accomplices. Booth, who believed he was saving the South by killing Lincoln, was later killed after refusing to surrender during a confrontation with U.S. forces. Second, U.S. President James Abram Garfield. James Abram Garfield was born on November 19, 1831, in the state of Ohio, in the central United States. He grew up under difficult circumstances after losing his father at a young age. His mother took on the responsibility of raising him, showing great determination and perseverance in providing him with a good education. Garfield attended Western Reserve Eclectic Institute, from which he graduated in 1856. Due to his academic excellence, he returned to the institute as a professor and later became its president. Garfield was an active supporter of the Republican Party and participated in the American Civil War, where he served heroically in the Union Army. After the war, he entered politics and was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1863, where he served with dedication until he was elected as the 20th President of the United States in 1880. However, his presidency was short-lived and tragic. On July 2, 1881, Garfield was shot twice at close range by Charles Julius Guiteau at a train station in Washington, D.C., while on his way to New England. He suffered severe injuries and endured pain and health complications for more than 2 months before succumbing to his wounds on September 19th of the same year. As a result, his presidency lasted only 6 months, making it one of the shortest in U.S. history. Guiteau was arrested and faced a trial that gained widespread attention. He defended himself by claiming that he was carrying out the will of God, but the trial ultimately ended with his conviction and a death sentence. Third, U.S. President William McKinley. William McKinley was born on January 29, 1843, in the state of Ohio, in the west-central United States. He began his professional life as a teacher, but the outbreak of the American Civil War completely changed his path. McKinley left teaching and joined the Union Army, where he fought bravely against the seceding states and proved his competence and courage during the war. After the war, McKinley entered politics and was elected to represent Ohio in the U.S. House of Representatives. He served in Congress for 14 years, playing a significant role in shaping the country's economic and financial policies. After his congressional term, he served 2 terms as governor of Ohio, gaining a reputation for his effective leadership and integrity. In 1897, McKinley was elected President of the United States, leading the country through a crucial period in its history. One of his most significant achievements was leading the U.S. to victory in the Spanish-American War, which expanded American influence globally and resulted in the annexation of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines to the United States. However, his second term was short-lived and tragic. On September 6, 1901, while visiting an exposition in New York, McKinley was the target of a brutal assassination attempt. Despite warnings from his advisors, he insisted on shaking hands with the public after delivering his speech. At that moment, Leon Czolgosz, an extremist anarchist, approached him and shot him twice, hitting him in the abdomen and chest. McKinley suffered severe injuries, and despite doctors' efforts to save him, he died 8 days later, leaving a significant leadership vacuum in the United States. Czolgosz was quickly arrested, tried, and convicted. He was executed in the electric chair, and his body was dissolved in sulfuric acid. Fourth, U.S. President John F. Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts, and was raised in a prominent political family. It was destined for him to follow in his father's footsteps in public service. During World War II, Kennedy bravely served in the U.S. Navy, where he commanded a patrol boat and sustained serious injuries, earning him recognition for his heroism and the respect of his peers. After the war, Kennedy began his political career when he was elected to represent Massachusetts in the U.S. House of Representatives. He served there until 1953, when he transitioned to the U.S. Senate, where he remained until 1960. During this period, Kennedy emerged as a charismatic leader with progressive visions, which encouraged him to run for president. In 1960, Kennedy ran for president as the Democratic candidate, facing Republican rival Richard Nixon. His campaign stood out due to his youthful energy and inspiring speeches, which helped him win the election, making him the 35th president of the United States. Although his presidency lasted less than 3 years, Kennedy achieved significant milestones, making him one of the most influential U.S. presidents. He was a pioneer in launching the American space program, which later led to the first human landing on the moon, strengthening the United States' position in the space race. He also faced several critical international crises during the Cold War with the Soviet Union, most notably the Cuban Missile Crisis, which brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Kennedy successfully managed this crisis with strategic diplomacy and leadership. On November 22, 1963, during an official visit to Dallas, Texas, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. As he rode in an open-top motorcade alongside his wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, Lee Harvey Oswald fired shots at him, resulting in his death at the age of 46. His assassination shocked the world, and to this day, the circumstances surrounding his death remain a topic of controversy and speculation. Just 2 days after Kennedy's assassination, while Oswald was being transferred to prison, he was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner. This event deepened the mystery and complexity surrounding Kennedy's assassination, fueling further theories and debates that continue to this day. On the Arab side, several kings were assassinated. King Abdullah I, King of Jordan. King Abdullah, born of Jordan, assumed the throne in 1946 and was a pivotal figure in the Middle East. He aimed to achieve stability in a region plagued by political tensions and regional conflicts, particularly the Arab-Israeli dispute. He played a crucial role in founding the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan and strengthening its ties with Western nations. On July 20th, 1951, King Abdullah I was assassinated while performing Friday prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque. During the prayer, an armed man approached him and opened fire, inflicting fatal wounds. The king was rushed to the hospital, but he succumbed to his injuries shortly after. There were multiple accounts regarding the motive behind the assassination. Some believe the attack was a result of regional and personal tensions. Certain sources suggest that the assassin had ties to extremist groups that opposed King Abdullah's policies, particularly his efforts toward peace with Israel and his attempts to achieve a peaceful resolution to conflicts in the region. Second, King Faisal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, King of Saudi Arabia. King Faisal was born in Riyadh in 1906 and ruled Saudi Arabia from 1964 until his death in 1975. He was a pivotal figure in both the Arab and international arenas, known for his political acumen and ability to lead the kingdom toward economic and educational modernization. His bureaucratic reforms effectively improved the efficiency of public finances and government operations. Additionally, his intervention in Aramco strengthened Saudi oversight and control over the country's oil resources, significantly enhancing Saudi Arabia's position in the global oil market. On the foreign policy front, Saudi Arabia, under his rule, pursued a firm stance in the region, challenging the long-standing regional dominance of Egypt. King Faisal was a staunch supporter of the Palestinian cause and sought to strengthen Arab unity against external threats, earning him great respect in the Arab and Islamic world. On March 25, 1975, Saudi Arabia witnessed a shocking assassination that raised many questions and mysteries. On that day, while the king was receiving guests in his palace in Riyadh, his nephew, Faisal bin Musaid, suddenly pulled out a gun and shot him, leading to the king's immediate death. Subsequent investigations revealed that the motive behind the crime was personal and psychological issues, rather than political or internal conflicts. After King Faisal's assassination, Faisal bin Musaid was executed by beheading. Despite the execution, the true motives behind the assassination remain a subject of speculation, with theories ranging from political reasons to psychological and personal factors. King Faisal's assassination had a profound impact on Saudi Arabia and the Arab world, leaving behind a legacy of reforms and challenges that he had confronted with determination. Third, former Algerian President Mohamed Boudiaf. Mohamed Boudiaf was one of the most prominent figures in Algerian history, as he was a leading figure in the Algerian Revolution against French colonialism, and one of the founders of the National Liberation Front, FLN. After Algeria gained independence, conflicts arose between him and President Ahmed Ben Bella, which led to Boudiaf's imprisonment, and later a death sentence due to his political activities. However, he managed to flee Algeria and settled in Morocco, where he lived in exile for nearly 30 years. In 1992, Boudiaf returned to Algeria at a time when the country was experiencing a severe political crisis. Algeria was in a state of political turmoil following the cancellation of the first multi-party legislative elections, in which the Islamic Salvation Front, FIS, had achieved a landslide victory. This crisis led to what became known as the Black Decade, a period filled with violence and bloody conflicts. Boudiaf assumed the presidency during this tumultuous period as the country was in dire need of leadership and reform. However, his time in office was extremely short, lasting only 166 days. On June 29, 1992, while delivering a speech at the cultural center in the city of Annaba, eastern Algeria, in front of a live audience and televised broadcast, the hall suddenly echoed with gunfire, causing panic and chaos among the attendees who scrambled for cover under the seats. The broadcast was abruptly cut off, and a few hours later, it was officially announced that Mohamed Boudiaf had been assassinated. Boudiaf was shot dead by his own bodyguard, soldier Membarek Boumarafi, in an event that remains shrouded in mystery to this day. Finally, Egyptian President Mohammed Anwar el-Sadat. Anwar el-Sadat assumed office in 1970 following the death of President Gamal Abdel Nasser, ushering Egypt into a new phase of political and economic change. Under his leadership, Sadat led the Egyptian army in the October War against Israel, a war that resulted in a significant military success for both Egypt and Syria. However, the most defining event of Sadat's presidency was his historic visit to Israel in 1977, a bold step toward opening a new chapter in relations between the two nations. Despite strong condemnation and outrage from Arab governments over this visit, Sadat pressed forward with peace negotiations. These negotiations, brokered by the United States, resulted in the signing of the Camp David Accords between Egypt and Israel. In recognition of their efforts to achieve peace, Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In March 1979, Egypt and Israel officially signed the peace treaty, marking the first agreement of its kind between an Arab state and Israel. This treaty represented a major shift in regional politics and sparked mixed reactions across the Arab world. Some welcomed it as a step toward peace and stability, while others viewed it as a betrayal of the Palestinian cause. On October 6, 1981, Egypt and the world were shaken by the assassination of President Sadat. During the military parade commemorating the 8th anniversary of the October War, Khalid al-Islambouli, a member of the extremist Islamic Jihad group, opened fire on Sadat. The attack fatally wounded the Egyptian president in front of a crowd of soldiers, military leaders, and government officials. This sudden and violent assault, which occurred in the middle of the celebratory event, was a devastating blow to Egypt. During the investigation following the assassination, Khalid al-Islambouli stated that his motives were linked to Sadat's stance on Islamic law and his political decisions. He claimed that the laws governing the country did not align with the teachings of Islam, leading to widespread suffering among Muslims. Additionally, Sadat made peace with the Jews, arrested Islamic scholars, and humiliated them. The assassination of Anwar el-Sadat was a major shock for both Egypt and the entire region. Sadat was not only the leader of the largest Arab country in the Middle East, but also a symbol of victory and peace for Egypt. In conclusion, these assassinations were not merely violent incidents, but rather pivotal moments that deeply impacted the course of history and international politics. From the assassination of Abraham Lincoln to the killing of Anwar el-Sadat, these events stand as a testament to how personal conflicts and political crises can shape major policies and global affairs. And with that, we reach the end of our discussion on the most notable assassinations of world leaders. Don't miss out on future content. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all the latest news.